So I managed to wrap everything up here, put on the rear cover, and as well as install the shifter on top. One thing to note is that I actually want to make sure that the engagement collar on the reverse gear synchro actually worked and pushed in, and I was able to push it all the way. So I rotate the input shaft around here clockwise, give a little turn here, and then I actually couldn't push in the reverse gear synchro. So that was really odd. I found out that I actually installed the synchro hub reverse. The dog teeth that were supposed to face this way ended up facing outward. So I'm really glad I caught this, because otherwise, after everything is said and done, I would not have reverse gear, because the synchro hub, the engagement collar, would not be able to push in and go in all the way over here. So that was a big mistake that I caught, and I was very lucky that I caught it. So let that be a big watch out for you if you're end up doing this yourself. I filled the entire case with about 4.2 quarts of gear oil. I also needed to add in this modifier here. This is a limited slip differential modifier, because the differential here, this is the differential here, it's a limited slip. So you need to add in some modifiers in the gear oil that I have, and I use Redline MT. See here, I use this 4.2 quarts along with an entire bottle of this limited slip modifier, which is 4 fluid ounces, to have the differential operate and slip appropriately. Otherwise, you may get some chatter as you're using the diff and you're turning a corner. So the shift linkages have been installed here. There's a bolt here and there's a bolt here, as well as the 2 end cables for the shift cables. I also installed this support here, support bracket here, that allows the shift cables to come from the drive train all the way through these 2 holes, so you can then link these 2 cables here. And that is basically it. We are done with the transmission part of this project. Next is I'm gonna jack the car up a little higher so I can work on snaking through the shift cables from the inside of the interior of the car down through the drive shaft, and up and through the engine, and it will link these 2 cable ends here. One thing to know is that it is really tight in that drive shaft, so what I need to do is I need to actually drop the drive shaft and move that out of the way so I can snake the cables through. All right, so the next stage is to route the shift cables towards the back of the car. And in order to do that, to make it easy on yourself, you gotta drop the drive shaft. It's possible to route the 2 shift cables from the inside of the car through here, but I'm just gonna make life easy. I just dropped the drive shaft. It's a couple of bolts. It only takes you 10 to 15 minutes to do. So here it is. And here is, let me zoom in over here. Oops. Right here, right there. Right there is that hole that I will snake the shift cables through. From there, I'm able to route everything through in the back towards here and through. It's gonna route around here, and this is the alternator right here. And from there on, it's gonna route and it's gotta go up on top of the differential color, and then that's where I will be able to hook the shift cables back towards the shifter in the back. So next step is to, yeah, just go and start routing the shift cables through. And here are how the shift cables are routed. Here, there's that little hole here that I snake both of them through. I just snake through, and there is a little clip that you have to get to clip this through, or else this will dangle and fall and interfere with the drive shaft that goes around here. So basically, there's a little rivet here, a little head that you screw onto, and then you trace all the way these cables down here. Goes down here, and this is the belt tensioner here actually. So basically, it doesn't snake around where the alternator is right here, but it goes underneath the belt tensioner, snakes through. Here's one of the mounts here. Goes here, goes up and over and through, and then you'll be able to like snake through and put both of these cables over the rear differential cover that rests here. So basically, that's how the cables would look like right here. This was a pain to do because there was a lot of, because I had to bend this up, and there was tension that the cable I was fighting against, but I managed to get this done, managed to tighten this. This is a bit of a pain to get to, but just get a 10mm wrench and screw it on, and then just tighten it at an angle, and you'll have enough mechanical leverage to be able to tighten this down. So this is not moving over at all. And if we were to go ahead and reinstall the drive shaft, this will look like here. Right here, let's see here. Okay, so here, this is how the cables will look like. So you can see there is clear gap between the shift cables here and the drive shaft. So this is good. So I need to button everything up, make sure that things are hooked up at the end over here. Once everything is hooked up, I will then zip tie these two around this bracket here. And that should be the end of the shifter cable install. And here is how everything is hooked up and squared away for the shift cables. Basically, it comes out from the interior of the car, up top through here. You see these cables here. Let me go in a little bit. And then it goes here, and I zip tie it to where did I zip tie it? I zip tie it right here, which is the bracket that is attached to the alternator and this dry belt tensioner right here. From there, I hook everything through, a loop it through, straight through near the right side motor mount. Go straight up through the engine, because there's a gap in the engine here. And then from there, let's get out of here. And from here, I was able to hook up these two shift cables using this bracket here, and then hook up the shift cables on these two ball joints that control the front and back and right and left of the shifter, which will actuate this entire shift unit down here. So that's how everything is wired up and connected on the selectors. And here is where the shift cables are routed inside the cabin now. So actually, the hole to route the shift cables is actually here. There was a little cover here that I missed on my initial inspection when I tore this center console apart. So you need to go in and take this out and then route the shift cables through here and route one cable at a time. Once you have everything routed, I hooked everything back up in the back, and then I started hooking, see here, these two shift cables here towards the actual shifter here, as you can see here. So let me give you some better light. Voila, and there you go. And basically it's two ball joints that you actually hook the ends of the shift cables to the bottom of this shifter here. So now we're done routing everything as far as the shift cables are. The next step is to actually go in and route the clutch lines and hook up the clutch pedal.